Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today we're going to be ranking all the Druid subclasses. Now here is our current subclass tier list, and I'm thinking about moving 4 elements down to B tier. That is one that I caught a lot of flack for in our last ranking video, but I don't know. I really like the subclass. I will come to a conclusion on if I'm going to move it at the end of the video, but yep, let's talk about the Druid today, and then after Druid, we only have the Bard that is left, and then we will have all of the subclasses ranked, and we'll cut it up into a super cut, and that'll be a very, very long video. Anyways, let's get started. Now the first Druid subclass that is up is Circle of the Moon. Now every Druid can shapeshift, but this is the subclass that is dedicated to being the best shapeshifter. They get the action here, Lunar Mend. This is a bonus action plus using your spell slot that will heal you up while you're in your wild shape. Additionally, like I said, every Druid gets all of these wild shape forms here, but the Circle of the Moon, they get the exclusive wild shape, which is the bear, and that's kind of their thing as a subclass. Is they're going to get these different wild shape forms other than just the basic ones. Now at level 4 for Circle of the Moons, you pick up the Dire Raven as your wild shape or your exclusive wild shape, and at level 6 here you get Primal Strike, and this is going to turn your wild shape, your attacks, into magical attacks to overcome resistances and immunities. And this is great because other martial characters, they're picking up weapons that have enchantments with them, like that +1 enchantment or +2, and that makes those weapons magical. So now with the wild shapes here, your attacks are magical as well, and that does help out with resistances, because if you're ever looking at a character or an enemy and you're inspecting them and you're seeing what they are immune to or resistant to, you can tell by the little blue arrow that tells you if they're resistant to magical attacks. Most of the time it's that gray arrow, which is just physical ones that have no magical properties, and up until this point, if it had just again that gray arrow, then they would be resistant to our wild shape attacks, but now we have that magical element added to it. Now at level 8 we picked up the Saber-Tooth Tiger as a wild shape, and then at level 10 we pick up the Elemental, the Myrmidon. So you got like Earth, Fire, Water, and then Air, and these are all pretty good for a shapeshifter. So now where do we rank the Circle of the Moon Druid here? I think I'm going to put it in A-. I think this is a really good frontline character. The only drawback in my opinion is maybe they're not as powerful as something like a Berserker or like an Eldritch Knight, but they are tanky, and then you also lose the aesthetic of your character, in exchange for these wild shape forms. That might not be for everybody, including myself. I'm not really the biggest shapeshifter type of guy, but these wild shape forms are really good, especially the exclusive ones. So yeah, I think it sits in A-. It's very powerful, maybe at the tippity top of A- there. So if you do like, that Druid playstyle of changing into these different creatures, then maybe this could be an A tier for you, but for me, A- it is. And next up, we're going to rank the Circle of Spores Druid. Now, instead of doing all the wild shape forms, they get this symbiotic entity. So this is going to, again, replace your wild shape, and it's going to give you more temporary hit points, and then your unarmed strikes or your weapon strikes, they're going to have necrotic damage that is added to them. We also pick up Halo of Spores, and take note, it's not a action or a bonus action. This is a subclass that gets to weaponize their reaction during their turn, and that's a new unique feature here with Circle of Spores. So eventually down the line, we're going to be able to cast a spell with our action, our bonus action, and our reaction all during the same turn. Now while we're leveling up Circle of Spores, we're also picking up subclass spells for them as well that they get intrinsically, and I'll point them out when I think they're noteworthy. Like here at level 5 we pick up Animate Dead, because it's not apparent right now, but this is a necromancer class as well, kind of better than the actual like wizard necromancy, and you'll see that at level 6. And that's because at level 6 we pick up Fungal Infestation, and we also get these Fungal Infestation charges, and this is going to allow us to infect or raise up another minion. So we have Animate Dead, and then we're going to also have like this Fungal Corpse as well, making us a very strong minion mancer here at level 6. Now at level 7 we picked up Blight, and then at level 9 we picked up Cloud Kill, but at level 10 we get Spreading Spores. This is what I was talking about earlier, where this is a bonus action that we can do damage with. So now we have an action which we can use one of our spells or cantrips, so you can use Bone Chill, then follow that up with Spreading Spores, and then cap it off with using Halo of Spores. This is with no haste, nothing like Action Surge. This is all just baked intrinsically to Halo, or a Circle of Spores here, all centered around necrotic damage. And on top of that, yes, we have our minion army that you can build up with Fungal Infestation and Animate Dead. Now, where am I going to rank Circle of Spores? I think this is a subclass with a really strong identity, and it has a lot of versatility with it because it has that minion master side. It's not only focused on necrotic damage, because there are a fair amount of enemies in the game that are resistant to necrotic damage, but with your bonus action and your reaction weaponized on top of having a minion army, you do have the normal druid spells as well, so you're not just locked into necrotic damage. So again, a lot of options with this spellcaster here, and I think they're very powerful. I'm going to be sticking them into A tier. Next up, we have Circle of the Land before time. I'm a 90s kid. Anyways, subclass feature we get here at level 2, we get natural recovery. So we're going to be able to recover our spell slot with these natural recovery charges. This is always an excellent thing to have as a dedicated spellcaster, which Circle of the Land is for the druids. Now, at level 3, you start to see why Circle of Land as a spellcaster is really special and really good, because they get to pick from all these different these lands here, so Arctic, or I guess terrain really, desert or ecosystems. I don't know. Either way, you get another list of spells to choose from. And just like the cleric, our spell modifier is based off of wisdom. So we have these prepared spells here. In our normal prepared list here, we can take whatever we want off and put them back on as long as we're outside of combat. Now these environment spells, these stay on us no matter what, and we don't have to take them on and off of our bar. They just are always there. And at level 5, we get another Circle of Land spell, and I would take either Arctic or something like Grassland, because they both come with haste, and haste is one of the best, if not the best, concentration in the game. And as a spellcaster, if you have the ability to pick up haste, you pick it up because it is just that good. Now at level 6, the subclass feature we pick up is Land Stride, difficult terrain, so we're not impeded by something like mud anymore, and this is a good subclass feature. And as you're leveling up, you're getting more Circle of Land spells, and I kind of pointed out the one that I wanted to, which is basically just Haste and Misty Step. At level 10 here, we pick up our next subclass feature, which is Nature's Ward. So we cannot be charmed or frightened by Fey or elemental enemies. There are a couple Fey enemies that will try to charm or frighten you, so this can be pretty good. And disease and poison can no longer affect us. Not so useful, I would say, in this part of the game. More useful in Act 1. There's a lot of poison and disease that you can run into there, but later in the game, not so much. Now, when ranking Circle of Land, or the land, we're in a little bit of a pickle, because I don't think it's as good as something like Evocation Wizard. We're kind of comparing it to the other spellcasters, so it doesn't belong in A tier in my opinion. I think we can stick it in A- tier, like near the top. It's either that or like the very bottom of A tier. For the sake of the list not looking so crowded, we are going to stick it in A- because again, I can't rank it above Evocation. I think Evocation comes with some intrinsic things that just makes their spells even stronger, where Circle of the Land here just has a great pick of the litter, and they have like a few, I would say, helpful features, like not being able to get stuck on terrain, or like something like mud, and then not being able to be charmed or frightened by fey creatures or elementals. That can be useful too in Baldur's Gate 3. So I think A- tier is where it's going to sit for now. A lot of A and A- rankings for the Druid here, and it's a little surprising because the Druid subclass, or the Druid class, kind of just, it's not really my vibe. But you know what is my vibe? Circle of the Stars. Now, why is that? Well, they get a lot of features that kind of make them this radiant spellcaster, which kind of aligns them more towards like a cleric, but with some, I would say, Druid flair. I don't know. Let's talk about the subclass features. First one is Star Map. So you essentially get to cast a Guiding Bolt for free, or using this Star Map currency instead of using a spell slot. You still get all your normal spell slots, but this is a way to just sling Guiding Bolts for another resource, which is great. We also get these starry forms. So you still get your animal forms if you want them, but as a Circle of the Stars, you're not going to be using those. You're going to be using these starry forms instead. So we got Archer, which is going to let you use like a radiant bow as a bonus action to do damage. And then you get this chalice form, which as long as you cast a healing spell, you then get to use your bonus action to cast another healing spell. You have to do it in that order. And then the last form here is Dragon. And this is really great because you have this Dazzling Breath, which is this frontal conal spell as a bonus action that does radiant damage. That's pretty decent damage. But the big ticket thing here is our concentration spells when we are rolling a saving throw. If we roll a 9 or lower, it is considered a 10 instead. This is fantastic for maintaining a concentration. And I want you to note that at level 3, we pick up Moonbeam. This makes Circle of Stars and Moonbeam like a match made in heaven, especially on like your spell economy side, because you just cast Moonbeam and then you can use your bonus action to do like Dazzling Breath or Luminous Arrow, and you're not expending any of your star map resources or your spell slots outside of that initial casting of Moonbeam. It is just, this is so strong in Act 1. It's crazy. Probably one of the best subclasses in Act 1. Holy shit, Nomad, calm down. We're only at level 2 here. You clearly love this subclass. And yes, I do. Now, at level 6 is when we get our next big subclass feature. While you're leveling up, you're going to get more starry maps to use Guiding Bolt with. But again, level 6 here, we get Cosmic Omens. And this is random if it's either going to be Weal or Woe. One will affect your allies as far as their attack rolls or their saving throws, and the other will affect enemies as far as their attack rolls or their saving throws. This is a reaction that comes with its own resource to spend, and this just makes them a more complete subclass in my opinion, because you're already doing something like Moonbeam. We could have picked up Call Lightning as well for your action. Bonus action wise, we are set with all of our starry forms, and now we have an excellent reaction that's either going to help our allies or debuff our enemies as far as their attack rolls and their saving throws. So just really excellent and well-rounded here by level 6. Now, our last subclass feature we get at level 10, and that is Twinkling Constellations. So our Archer, our Dragon, and our Chalice, they're all improved by either doing more damage or more healing. Dragon also gains the ability to fly. And then with our starry forms, we're able to change between them freely once per turn, because before it would cost a resource to change them. So overall, Twinkling Constellations, they're just making all of our starry forms even better. Now, when ranking Circle of the Stars, I have never changed my tune about this subclass as soon as I started playing with it. It is excellent. It is S tier in my opinion, weaponizing your bonus action very early on in the game, and that just gets better and better as far as your resource management, because again, you can just stick to using Moonbeam, you can upcast that, you can just keep recasting it, and then you always have something to do with your bonus action as well. This is just a spellcaster that, again, doesn't use that many resources, is extremely effective, and always has something to do with their action and their bonus action, and that rate's really high in my book. And yeah, this subclass works really well with those Radiant Orb builds. This is just another subclass that can do that, and it might do it the best because of that Dazzling Breath cone. It's just, oof, so good. Alright y'all, that's the video. That is us ranking all of the Druid subclasses. Let me know what you think about the Druid subclass. Here's the updated list. I'm not touching any of the monks yet. I'm still thinking about those, but Life Domain I am bumping up. Why am I doing that? Well, for beginners, Life Domain is absolutely crucial and extremely powerful at keeping everybody alive and healthy so you can experience the game. And I started a new campaign with 2 of my buddies that aren't really familiar with CRPGs or D&D kind of like this, and Life Domain has been just the absolute GOAT at keeping our party alive and doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So in that instance, I'm like, okay, Life Domain is a lot better than B tier. Now I understand for people who are really familiar with Baldur's Gate 3, you're not picking Life Domain because you know that you can phase out that healing in favor of damage, but for people who are new at the game, or maybe just like a dedicated healer, Life Domain, it deserves to be up a tier in my opinion. But yep, that's the video guys. I will think more about where I'm gonna, maybe alter the monk ranks, but we'll wait for that one. Next up is the Bard, and that'll be the last subclass. That'll be the last slew of subclasses that we have to rank. So look forward to it, and I'll see you then. Peace and take care.